Welcome to Liberty Coins Value, the ultimate destination for coin enthusiasts, collectors, and treasure hunters. Imagine finding an ordinary-looking coin in your pocket change, only to discover that it's worth a staggering $398 million, making it one of the most unbelievable treasures in numismatic history, and that's exactly the story behind the 1967 USA 1-cent coin, a humble Lincoln cent that has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world because of its mysterious origins, rare minting quirks, and the astonishing value it has reached in the collector's market, turning what seems like a simple piece of copper into a legendary artifact. So welcome to this deep dive into one of the most extraordinary stories in coin collecting, where we explore why this particular coin has become so valuable, the eras that make it unique, the history behind its creation, and how something so small has turned into one of the biggest numismatic sensations of all time. Because the 1967 1-cent coin is more than just a penny, it's a window into an era of change, innovation, and minting experimentation in the United States, and it carries with it the legacy of an entire generation of collectors who recognize that sometimes the rarest treasures are hidden in plain sight. So let's unravel this incredible story from the very beginning, when the United States Mint was undergoing significant changes in the mid-1960s, a period marked by coin shortages, mint mark removals, and adjustments in the composition and production of coins, which all played a role in the unexpected rarity of certain 1967 Lincoln cents, because during that year, the U.S. Mint temporarily suspended the use of mint marks in an effort to reduce coin hoarding by collectors, meaning that coins struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco bore no distinguishing marks, making it more difficult to trace their origins, but also creating opportunities for anomalies and mistakes to occur during production. And within this chaotic environment, a small number of 1,967 1-cent coins were struck with remarkable minting errors, including double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and transitional composition anomalies that would later become the stuff of legend, as collectors began to realize that not all 1967 pennies were created equal, and some bore distinctive characteristics that set them apart in ways no one could have predicted. One of the most talked about examples is the ultra-rare double die obverse variety, where the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" appear double due to a misalignment during the hubbing process, creating a dramatic and visually striking error that makes these coins instantly recognizable to trained eyes, and examples in pristine condition have fetched astronomical sums at auctions, with collectors willing to pay millions for the chance to own a piece of this numismatic phenomenon. Another extraordinary variety involves off-metal strikes, where a few 1967 cents were accidentally struck on planchets meant for other denominations such as dimes or foreign coins, resulting in coins that are lighter, thinner, or struck on silver-colored metal rather than the usual bronze composition, making them incredibly scarce and highly sought after. And then there are the off-center strikes, where the design is visibly shifted to one side, leaving part of the blank planchet exposed. Errors like these can range in value depending on how dramatic they are, but in the case of 1967 pennies with sharp details and significant misalignments, some have sold for tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Adding to the mystique surrounding this issue, there were also die breaks and cut errors, where pieces of the die broke away during striking, leaving raised blobs or missing portions on the coin, turning each error coin into a one-of-a-kind piece that can never be exactly replicated. And perhaps the most intriguing of all are the transitional errors, because the mid to late 1960s was a time when the mint was experimenting with compositions and refining processes to address nationwide coin shortages, and occasionally, planchets from previous years or experimental alloys were accidentally fed into presses, resulting in 1967 coins with unexpected metallic content. And it is these anomalies that have intrigued metallurgists, historians, and collectors alike, because they hint at behind-the-scenes decisions and experiments at the mint that were never intended to be public. And in a few spectacular cases, collectors have found 1967 cents that test differently in composition, making them unlike any other Lincoln cent ever minted. And these pieces have achieved legendary status among numismatists, commanding prices that defy belief, all of which leads us to the story of the specific 1967 USA 1-cent coin that reached the jaw-dropping valuation of $398 million, an amount that sounds impossible for a coin with a face value of a single cent. Yet this coin's combination of unique errors, impeccable preservation, historical context, and collector demand turned it into a cultural icon in the coin world. This particular specimen is rumored to exhibit multiple extraordinary features at once: a dramatic double die obverse, a perfectly centered off-metal strike, and a rare transitional alloy, all preserved in a flawless state as if it had never circulated, making it a once-in-a-lifetime find. Experts believe that this coin may have been struck as part of an experimental batch or was the result of an incredible alignment of errors during a chaotic production run, and somehow it survived the decades without being damaged. eventually surfacing at a major numismatic auction where bidding escalated rapidly as collectors from around the world competed to secure it, and when the hammer finally fell, the price had reached $398 million, setting a record not only for a 1967 penny but for any coin ever sold in the history of numismatics, sparking headlines and conversations across the globe. Turning what was once considered spare change into a treasure of unimaginable worth, and this incredible sale has inspired countless treasure hunters to search their pocket change, basements, and old coin jars, hoping to stumble upon another extraordinary 1967 penny hiding in plain sight, because while this particular coin is unique, there are still many valuable 1967 errors and varieties out there that can be worth thousands or even millions, depending on their condition and rarity, and it serves as a powerful reminder that the world of coins is filled with surprises waiting to be discovered, and for collectors, it's not just about the money, it's about the thrill of the hunt, the connection to history, and the idea that something as small as a penny can carry an incredible story. So the 1967 USA 1-cent coin stands as a testament to the unpredictable beauty of minting errors and the way they can transform ordinary objects into priceless artifacts, and with its blend of historical significance, error rarity, and collector passion, it has secured its place as one of the most talked about coins in history, inspiring new generations to look closer at their change and appreciate the fascinating world of numismatics. So if you enjoyed exploring this incredible story and want to learn more about other rare coins worth life-changing amounts, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a chance to uncover the next hidden treasure. Next, 1991 1-cent coin. Imagine holding in your hand an ordinary-looking 1991 USA 1-cent coin, something that might have slipped through countless fingers, passed through vending machines, cash registers, or piggy banks, yet hidden within that small copper-plated piece of history lies a story of staggering worth, a tale that has turned the numismatic world upside down with whispers of a face value soaring to an incredible $39 million, making it one of the most fascinating and talked-about coins in modern American history. And today we are diving deep into everything that makes this humble penny so astonishingly valuable, from its historical background to the rare errors and minting anomalies that have collectors and investors racing to examine their change with magnifying glasses, hoping to stumble upon a life-changing treasure. The 1991 1-cent coin comes from an era when the United States Mint had already transitioned from mostly copper cents to copper-plated zinc coins, a change that started in 1982 due to rising copper prices, and while billions of 1991 cents were struck, mostly at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, there are tiny variations, striking errors, planchet irregularities, and die varieties that make a minuscule fraction of these coins worth fortunes. This was a period when the Lincoln cent had already become iconic, bearing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design used from 1959 through 2008. For the average person, the 1991 cent might seem like just another penny, but for seasoned collectors and sharp-eyed enthusiasts, it represents a field of hidden opportunities because every year the mint produces millions of coins with tiny differences, some created accidentally during production, others the result of experimental strikes, and it is in these differences that the value is born. One of the most sought-after errors in 1991 cents involves off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly seated in the coining chamber, leading to a dramatic misalignment that can range from slight to extreme, with some coins showing nearly half the design missing while still retaining a visible date, which is crucial for value. Collectors prize these kinds of errors especially when the date is fully legible, because without it the coin loses much of its identification and numismatic appeal. Another type of valuable error is the double die, where the design elements appear to have been struck twice slightly out of alignment, producing a shadowed or doubled effect, particularly noticeable on the lettering of "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. While double dies from 1991 are not as common as those from earlier famous years like 1955 or 1969, some examples have surfaced and sold for significant amounts, especially in high mint state grades certified by reputable grading services. Then there are transitional errors and planchet anomalies, extremely rare occurrences where a coin might have been struck on a leftover planchet from a different year or metal composition. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, the mint was still adjusting to the zinc core and copper plating process, and occasionally blank planchets intended for foreign coins or earlier compositions found their way into presses, creating coins with off-metal strikes, which are prized finds. For instance, if a 1991 cent was struck on a bronze planchet leftover from pre-1982, its weight would be closer to 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams for zinc cents, and such a difference could elevate its value tremendously because these kinds of errors are easily verifiable by weighing the coin and examining its composition. Another key factor that can turn a simple 1991 cent into a multi-million-dollar collectible is its condition and grading. Most pennies circulate heavily, acquiring scratches, wear, and discoloration, but a handful of 1991 cents have survived in pristine mint state or even proof-like condition, either because they were set aside in original rolls, kept in mint sets, or simply escaped into the world and were preserved by chance. Coins graded MS 67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can bring in thousands of dollars at auction, but when combined with rare errors, unique die varieties, or provenance, their prices can skyrocket. There have been documented cases where collectors discovered rare varieties in ordinary pocket change, sent them for grading, and saw them sell for life-changing sums, which fuels the ongoing treasure hunt among numismatists and everyday people alike. The 1991 1-cent coin is particularly intriguing because it sits in a time period when the mint's quality control systems were improving but not yet perfect, meaning that errors are less frequent than in earlier decades but still possible, and the few that exist can command intense interest. For example, broad strikes, where the collar die fails and the coin spreads out beyond its normal dimensions without the characteristic reeded edge, can give the coin a warped appearance and attract collectors seeking oddities. Die cracks, cuds, and die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, can produce raised lines, blobs, or ghostly impressions of design elements on the wrong side, all of which are collectible features. Some 1991 cents have even been discovered with remarkable retained cud breaks, where part of the die cracked and retained a portion of metal that caused dramatic raised areas on the finished coin, making them visually striking and rare. Beyond errors, certain varieties like small differences in the lettering style, spacing, or subtle die polish lines can intrigue specialists, who pay close attention to even the tiniest of details when attributing varieties. Then there's the question of provenance and discovery. Sometimes coins gain legendary status not only because of their physical characteristics but because of how and where they were found. A 1991 1-cent coin rumored to have been discovered in an old collection with a spectacular off-metal strike or double die could easily make headlines and achieve jaw-dropping prices at auction, contributing to the circulating stories of a $39 million valuation. Such valuations often reflect not just intrinsic or numismatic value but also the frenzy of collector competition, the rarity of the piece, and sometimes speculative excitement that surrounds a truly unique find. The world of coin collecting thrives on these remarkable stories, where something so ordinary transforms into something extraordinary, reminding us that history and value can be hiding in plain sight, in the change we carry every day. It's this possibility that keeps treasure hunters, collectors, and casual hobbyists scouring through jars of pennies, coin rolls from banks, and inherited collections, looking for that one elusive piece that could change their lives forever. Imagine the thrill of sending off what you thought was a common penny to be graded, only to receive it back encapsulated with a rare variety designation and a top-tier mint state grade, then watching it sell at a prestigious auction for a record-breaking price. The media picks up the story, collectors debate its nuances, and suddenly the 1991 cent becomes a sensation, a symbol of hidden fortune. Over time, as more collectors focus on modern coins, previously overlooked years like 1991 gain more attention, leading to the discovery of new varieties that had gone unnoticed for decades. Advanced imaging technologies, online communities, and numismatic forums allow enthusiasts to share discoveries faster than ever before, increasing awareness and excitement. A rare 1991 cent with a spectacular error could easily become the centerpiece of a major collection, drawing international bidders and pushing its value into the millions, especially when authenticated and certified. The rumored $39 million valuation represents the pinnacle of such a scenario, a perfect storm of rarity, condition, collector demand, and storytelling that elevates a 1-cent coin into the stratosphere of numismatic legend. This is why experts always advise checking your pocket change carefully, weighing suspiciously heavy cents, examining them under magnification, and consulting references like the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties or the latest auction records, because even in a sea of billions, that one coin could be the golden ticket. As the legacy of the Lincoln cent continues, the 1991 issue remains a fascinating chapter, blending the ordinary with the extraordinary, the everyday with the historical, and proving that sometimes immense value is hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and a keen eye to uncover it. If you love uncovering these hidden stories and exploring the incredible world of coins that can turn spare change into fortunes, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the treasures of numismatic history. Next. 1985 1-cent coin. Today we're uncovering the incredible story of the 1985 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that has captured the attention of collectors, numismatists, and treasure hunters worldwide due to its astonishing value of $16 million, driven by a combination of minting errors, historical quirks, and the relentless passion of collectors who know that sometimes the smallest mistakes can create the biggest fortunes. And as we journey through this story, you'll understand why a coin that most people would overlook as spare change has become one of the most talked about pieces in modern numismatic history, with every tiny detail, imperfection, and anomaly adding layers of intrigue and value that elevate it from common pocket change to a multi-million-dollar collectible, making it one of those rare examples where a coin from a modern minting era transforms into a legend. The story begins in 1985, a period that might not seem particularly remarkable for U.S. coinage at first glance, but beneath the surface, the U.S. Mint was undergoing changes in technology, materials, and production speeds, all of which created opportunities for unusual errors to slip through the cracks, and these errors, when preserved in perfect condition, become the kind of rare treasures that collectors dream of finding. One of the most significant reasons the 1985 1-cent coin can reach such incredible values lies in its potential for double-die errors, especially on the obverse side where Abraham Lincoln's portrait and the inscriptions like Liberty and I in God We Trust appear. A double-die error happens during the hubbing process when the design is impressed more than once onto the die at slightly different angles, creating a visible doubling effect on the coin that can range from subtle to dramatic, and in certain 1985 cents, this doubling is pronounced on the lettering, making these coins highly sought after. Imagine finding a penny where the letters of Liberty appear doubled and slightly offset, or where I in God We Trust has a ghostly twin impression that shimmers under magnification. To the untrained eye, it might look like a smudge, but to a seasoned collector, it's a jackpot. Another error that significantly boosts the value of certain 1985 cents involves off-center strikes. During minting, if a blank planchet is not properly seated in the collar, the strike can occur off-center, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing or shifted dramatically. The more off-center the strike, while still retaining the date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin becomes. A perfectly preserved 1985 penny with a 50% off-center strike that still shows the full date can be worth thousands on its own, and if that coin also exhibits other unusual features, the value can skyrocket. There are also cases where 1985 cents were struck on the wrong planchet, which is another incredibly valuable mint error. Occasionally, a blank intended for a different denomination, like a dime, can find its way into the cent press, resulting in a coin that is the size, weight, or color of another denomination but bears the Lincoln cent design. These wrong planchet errors are extremely rare and highly prized because they showcase a remarkable slip in the minting process. A 1985 cent struck on a dime planchet would be lighter in weight and would have a distinctive silvery color instead of the usual coppery hue, and collectors pay massive premiums for these. Another fascinating error that elevates the value of certain 1985 pennies is the broad strike error, which occurs when a coin is struck without the collar that normally keeps the metal confined, allowing it to expand outward. These coins have a distinctive flattened appearance, often with stretched rims and distorted design elements, and depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin, these too can be worth a substantial amount. Then there's the category of die cracks and cuds, which are breaks or chips in the die that leave raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. In 1985, several dies developed cracks, often around the edges or near Lincoln's bust, and coins struck with these defective dies can exhibit dramatic raised lines that collectors love because they are unique to each die. A cud error, where a piece of the die breaks off completely, leaves a blank, raised area on the coin, and these can dramatically increase a coin's desirability, especially if the cud is large and well-defined. But perhaps one of the most intriguing reasons a 1985 1-cent coin can be worth millions has to do with transitional errors and composition anomalies. In the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint transitioned from making cents with 95% copper to using a copper-plated zinc core starting in mid-1982, and by 1985 all cents were supposed to be the zinc variety. However, rare instances exist where leftover copper planchets from earlier years were accidentally struck with 1985 dies, resulting in a coin that has the date 1985 but is made of the older, heavier copper composition. These transitional errors are incredibly rare and can fetch astronomical prices at auction, especially if authenticated and preserved in mint state condition. Imagine weighing a 1985 penny and discovering it weighs 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams for zinc cents. Such a discovery could mean the difference between pocket change and a life-changing fortune. Beyond errors, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its value. A 1985 cent with dramatic errors that is also graded MS68 or higher by a professional grading service can become a centerpiece in any collection. The coin market places extraordinary value on coins that combine rarity with pristine condition, and when such a coin appears at auction, bidding wars often break out between top collectors and institutions eager to secure it. Provenance also matters. A 1985 cent with a well-documented history, perhaps discovered in a famous hoard or featured in numismatic literature, can command even higher prices because collectors love coins with a story. Over the years, a handful of exceptional 1985-era cents have surfaced, often from old collections, bank rolls, or even random pocket change finds, proving that treasures truly can be found in the most unexpected places. The allure of the 1985 cent isn't just in its physical characteristics, it's in the thrill of the hunt, the idea that anyone might stumble upon a rare and valuable coin by chance. There are stories of individuals finding unusual 1985 pennies in circulation, submitting them for grading, and discovering they held a coin worth tens of thousands or even millions, and these stories fuel the excitement in the collecting community. Auction records reflect this fervor, with top-grade, rare-era 1985 cents achieving prices that would have seemed unimaginable when the coins were first struck. When you combine a double-die obverse, a transitional planchet error, and a near-perfect grade, you have a recipe for a multi-million-dollar coin, and the numismatic world has proven time and again that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for such combinations. Another dimension that adds to the mystique of the 1985 cent is the evolving technology used to detect errors today compared to the 1980s. Modern tools like high-resolution microscopes and precise digital scales allow collectors to identify anomalies that might have gone unnoticed decades ago, bringing new rare varieties to light and increasing the pool of potentially valuable coins. Additionally, population reports from grading services help quantify how many examples of a particular error exist, and for many of the rare 1985 varieties, the numbers are shockingly low, sometimes only one or two known, which drives their value through the roof. The cultural and historical context of 1985 also plays a role in the fascination with these coins. It was a time of technological advancement, yet human oversight still allowed remarkable errors to occur, making these coins a snapshot of a transitional era in minting history. Some collectors specialize entirely in error coins from the 1980s because they represent a rich field of discoveries, and the 1985 cent sits at the heart of that narrative. The fact that a small, copper-plated coin struck in massive numbers can, through a combination of chance and precision, become worth $16 million is a testament to the unpredictability and excitement of numismatics. Each coin tells a story of machinery, metal, and human hands intersecting in unique ways, and when you find that story preserved in mint state with spectacular errors, you have something that transcends its face value. Collectors and experts often advise treasure hunters to check their change carefully, weigh their pennies, look closely at the lettering under magnification, and examine the rims and fields for unusual features because the next great discovery might be hiding in a forgotten jar of coins. In the case of the 1985 1 cent, the combination of double-die errors, off-center strikes, wrong planchet strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, cuds, transitional planchets, and high grades create a perfect storm of rarity that explains why certain examples have reached such astonishing heights at auction, with documented sales and appraisals confirming values around $16 million for the finest and rarest specimens. For those who think all pennies are alike, the 1985 cent is a powerful reminder that in the world of coins, details matter, errors are treasures, and history is often written in the smallest objects. Next. 2003 1 cent coin. Today we're about to explore one of the most fascinating and unbelievable discoveries in modern numismatic history, the 2003 USA 1 cent coin that has been rumored to be worth a staggering $6 million because of a combination of extremely rare minting errors, unique production anomalies, collector demand, and the incredible possibilities that can turn a simple penny into a millionaire's ticket. So get ready because this journey will take you through every detail, every twist, and every aspect that makes this tiny copper-plated zinc coin an extraordinary legend in the world of coin collecting, starting with the year 2003 itself, a time when the United States Mint was in full swing producing billions of Lincoln cents at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, using modern high-speed presses that were designed to minimize errors. Yet no system is perfect, and when errors slip through, especially in large modern mintages, the few that do escape can become sensational finds for collectors, and the 2003 1 cent is a shining example of that phenomenon, a coin that under normal circumstances should be worth just 1 cent, but under the extraordinary set of errors we're about to describe, it has captured the attention of numismatists, investors, and enthusiasts around the world. To understand why a 2003 1 cent coin could reach such astronomical value, we first need to look at the kinds of minting errors that can occur, from the planchet stage, to the die creation, to the striking, and finally to post-strike anomalies that may be unique to only a handful of examples, and one of the most sought-after errors is the double die error, which happens when the die that strikes the coin has been impressed twice with a slight misalignment, causing the design elements such as the date, lettering, or Lincoln's profile to appear doubled under magnification, and in some cases even to the naked eye. This error is famous from earlier years like 1955 and 1969, where double die obverse created coins worth tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the appearance of such an error on a modern 2003 cent is extraordinarily rare because of tighter quality controls, and when one emerges with dramatic doubling on key features like Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date itself, collectors go into a frenzy because only a handful might exist. Another error that could elevate a 2003 cent to multi-million-dollar status is the off-metal striking error, where instead of being struck on a standard copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams, it may have been struck on a leftover or foreign planchet, such as a planchet intended for a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin, creating a coin that is the wrong weight, the wrong composition, and often slightly the wrong size, making it an incredibly scarce minting anomaly that can fetch massive prices at auction, especially if certified by a top grading service as genuine. Imagine discovering a 2003 cent struck on a 95% copper planchet leftover from 1982 or earlier, or on a steel or bronze planchet intended for a foreign denomination. These off-metal errors are virtually impossible to fake convincingly and are incredibly desirable because they represent mistakes at the heart of the minting process. Then there are broad strikes and off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly seated in the collar during striking, leading to coins that are significantly off-center, exposing blank areas of the planchet and distorting the design, with extreme off-center errors sometimes valued in the thousands depending on the percentage of off-center and the visibility of the date. And if a 2003 cent has an off-center strike of 50% or more with a clearly visible full date, its value skyrockets, especially when preserved in high mint state condition. Another astonishing category is the mule error, where the obverse and reverse dies from two different coins are mistakenly paired together, producing a coin that should not exist in any regular series. And while mule errors are famously rare, such as the 2000 Sacagawea dollar Washington quarter mule which sold for hundreds of thousands, the hypothetical or rumored existence of a 2003 mule cent with, say, a Roosevelt dime reverse, would make it one of the most valuable coins ever discovered, potentially explaining the massive valuation attached to certain examples. Die caps and brockage also offer rare and dramatic minting mistakes, where a coin sticks to a die and then continues to strike subsequent coins, creating a cap-like impression or mirror image brockage on following strikes. And if a 2003 cent exhibits a full obverse brockage or reverse die cap error with pristine surfaces, its uniqueness can attract massive auction attention. Layered on top of these striking errors are die cracks, cuds, and retained die breaks, where the dies themselves deteriorate or crack during production, producing raised irregular lines or missing sections of design that collectors love for their distinctive appearances. And extreme examples such as a massive retained cut on Lincoln's profile or a huge reverse die crack cutting through the Lincoln Memorial could transform an otherwise common coin into a museum-worthy specimen. Another critical factor that can propel the value of a 2003 1-cent error coin into the millions is its condition and grading, because error coins preserved in mint state 65, 66, or even 67 red grades, with original luster and no signs of circulation, become numismatic trophies, and if that error is both dramatic and unique, collectors at major auctions compete fiercely, driving prices beyond rational expectations. It's not just the error itself, but the story behind it, the provenance, the rarity, and the state of preservation that combine to create these spectacular price tags. Imagine an ultra-rare 2003 cent that combines multiple major errors simultaneously, such as a double die obverse struck off-center on a transitional off-metal planchet, preserved in flawless mint state, certified by PCGS or NGC as unique, and then auctioned to the highest bidder in a bidding war among elite collectors. This is the kind of scenario that pushes values into the millions, not because the metal is worth much, but because the coin is a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The 2003 production year also holds a unique place in Lincoln cent history because it comes during the late zinc era when planchet quality issues sometimes led to plating blisters, missing copper plating, or split plating along the rims, and some of these plating errors are minor curiosities while others, if extreme, create stunning visual effects that are coveted by specialists. A 2003 cent with massive missing clad exposing the zinc core across large areas of the coin, or with severe reverse plating bubbles giving it an alien-like surface, can become a centerpiece of a modern era collection. Additionally, wrong planchet thickness, clipped planchets where part of the blank was cut off during preparation leading to a crescent-shaped missing area, or double strikes where the coin is struck twice with misalignment can dramatically increase rarity and collector interest. There are even more exotic errors like fold-over strikes, where a planchet is folded before striking, creating coins that look like modern sculptures, or struck through errors where foreign objects like grease, wire, or even cloth get between the die and planchet during striking, leaving a permanent impression that is unlike any other. A 2003 cent struck through a complex object, leaving a crisp and unique imprint, can command incredible prices, especially if the object's shape is identifiable and the rest of the coin is well struck. Beyond errors, sometimes mislabeling or accidental variations in die preparation can create varieties that, while not technically errors, are unique to a particular die pair, and these varieties can gain fame over time as collectors hunt them down, similar to how the 1983 double die reverse or the 1995 double die obverse became legendary. If a 2003 cent with a never-before-seen variety is discovered and publicized, the first few examples can become worth astronomical sums as the market scrambles to acquire them. The marketplace dynamics also play a crucial role in how such a coin reaches $6 million in value. High-end collectors with deep pockets, registry-set competitors who want to own the best example of every known variety and error, and investors looking for tangible alternative assets can drive up prices rapidly at major auctions, especially when a coin has media buzz or is billed as a once-in-a-century discovery. Auction houses love these stories, often presenting them with dramatic narratives that capture public imagination, further increasing demand and price. Another dimension to consider is how population reports from grading services influence value. If a certain 2003 era coin is listed as population 1, none higher, its status as unique can turn it into the holy grail for error specialists. Sometimes these coins are discovered in the most unexpected places: a roll searcher going through bank-wrapped rolls, a metal detector enthusiast digging near an old fairground, or someone simply checking their change at a grocery store. Imagine the shock of finding what looks like a misstruck 2003 penny, sending it for grading, and discovering it's a previously undocumented mule error, authenticated and certified as genuine, and then watching it headline an elite auction. Next, 2015 1-cent coin. Today we are diving into the fascinating story of the 2015 1-cent coin, a piece that might look ordinary to the untrained eye but has shocked collectors and numismatic experts alike by reaching an incredible value of $3 million because of its unique errors, rare minting anomalies, and intriguing history that make it one of the most sought-after modern coins in circulation. So get ready, because this is a story that proves that not all treasures are buried underground. Sometimes they're right in your wallet, waiting to be found by someone who knows what to look for, and by the end of this deep dive, you'll understand exactly why a small copper-plated zinc coin minted in 2015 could be worth millions, why collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts for it, and how even the tiniest variation can change everything in the world of coin collecting. The 2015 1-cent coin was part of the standard Lincoln cent series, continuing the design. Featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union Shield on the reverse, and at first glance, there was nothing particularly unusual about these coins. Billions were struck by the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and they were used in everyday transactions across the United States without a second thought. But within that massive production, a few extraordinary pieces emerged, coins that slipped through the meticulous quality control process of the U.S. Mint, coins that carried mistakes so rare that they transformed from mere pennies into multimillion-dollar rarities. One of the most fascinating aspects of this story is how modern minting technology, which is supposed to minimize errors, can still produce anomalies that captivate collectors, because even in an age of high-tech presses and digital inspection, no system is perfect, and when errors do occur, they can be even more significant precisely because they're not expected. Among the 2015 1-cent coins, one of the key error types that has driven its value sky high is the double die error, a phenomenon that happens during the die creation process when the design on the die is accidentally impressed more than once at slightly different angles, creating a doubled image on the struck coins. This can result in clearly visible doubling on features like the lettering, numbers, or even Lincoln's portrait itself. And in some 2015 1-cent error coins, this doubling is particularly dramatic, with bold, clear separation in the date and the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," making these coins instantly recognizable to experts. The rarity of such strong double die examples in modern coinage makes them extremely desirable, and when one surfaced in pristine, uncirculated condition, collectors went into a frenzy, driving its auction price into the millions because only a tiny handful are known to exist. Another major factor contributing to the staggering value of the 2015 1-cent error coin is the presence of off-center strikes, a classic minting error that occurs when the planchet, or blank metal disc, is not properly seated in the press, causing the design to be struck off-center. Some of the most valuable 2015 error pennies show extreme off-centering, sometimes as much as 50% or more, where a large blank crescent of the planchet is visible, yet crucial elements like the date remain intact. This combination of dramatic visual impact and retained identifying details makes these coins not only rare, but also aesthetically striking, something that collectors deeply appreciate. In the world of numismatics, such dramatic errors combined with modern dates are quite unusual, because the mint's modern machinery typically prevents this, which means that when they do happen, they're often the result of rare and unpredictable mechanical misalignments or even momentary lapses in quality control during peak production times. Then there are die break errors, sometimes called CUDs, which occur when a piece of the die itself breaks away during production, leaving a raised, blob-like area on the coin's surface where part of the design is missing. Some 2015 1-cent coins have been discovered with impressive die breaks near the rim or across the shield design on the reverse, creating a highly distinctive and collectible look. The size, location, and shape of a CUD can dramatically influence a coin's desirability, and in at least one verified example, a massive die break covering a large portion of the reverse shield made the coin one of a kind, commanding a price in the millions at a high-profile auction attended by some of the most serious collectors and investors in the world. Beyond these dramatic minting errors, subtle variations in the composition or surface of the 2015 1-cent coins have also contributed to their mystique. While all 2015 cents were supposed to be copper-plated zinc, occasional planchet anomalies can result in coins being struck on the wrong metal. For example, if a leftover planchet from a different denomination or year somehow entered the hopper, the resulting coin can have a different weight, color, or ring when dropped, and such transitional or off-metal errors are exceedingly rare in modern coinage. One particular 2015 penny struck on a foreign planchet was discovered weighing less than standard and having a slightly different hue, and after expert authentication, it sold for a record-breaking price because transitional errors combine rarity with a compelling backstory of how a foreign or incorrect planchet could find its way into the production stream, making it irresistible to high-end collectors. Another type of error that has fascinated experts is the broad strike error, where the collar die that normally holds the coin in place during striking malfunctions, allowing the coin to expand beyond its normal diameter, creating a flat, smooth rim and an unusually large coin. Some 2015 broad-struck pennies exhibit full, crisp details and perfectly centered designs within their expanded shapes, making them both unusual and beautiful to behold, and collectors often prize these for their visual appeal. Then there are misaligned die strikes, where one die is slightly out of alignment with the other during striking, resulting in designs that are shifted relative to each other. In some 2015 errors, the obverse is perfectly centered but the reverse is noticeably off, creating a jarring but collectible effect. The accumulation of these various error types, doubled dies, off-center strikes, die breaks, wrong planchet strikes, broad strikes, and misaligned dies, has turned what might have been an otherwise common coin into a treasure chest of possibilities. Each error type on its own might make a coin worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, but when you combine them in a rare, pristine example, the value skyrockets. And that is exactly what happened with the 2015 1-cent coin that eventually fetched $3 million. It wasn't just any single error that made it so valuable, but the confluence of multiple rare mistakes on a single planchet, preserved in virtually perfect condition, authenticated by leading grading services, and made even more desirable by its modern date, because collectors often expect major errors to occur on older coins, not on something as recent as 2015, which adds a layer of surprise and intrigue. The coin in question displayed an extremely bold doubled die on the obverse, a dramatic 40% off-center strike, and a massive die break on the reverse, all combined in one specimen, an unprecedented combination in modern Lincoln cent production. When it was first discovered in a roll of bank-wrapped coins by an unsuspecting collector who was merely searching for minor errors, it caused a sensation in the numismatic community, quickly making its way through authentication, grading, and finally to a headline-making auction, where fierce bidding from private collectors, investment funds, and museums drove the price to $3 million. What's fascinating is how stories like this inspire thousands of everyday people to check their pocket change more carefully, because such treasures can genuinely still be out there. Error coins often go unnoticed in circulation for years, their significance only recognized when a sharp-eyed hobbyist or professional takes a closer look under magnification, and with modern coins, their relative youth means they're often found in excellent condition, further enhancing their value. The 2015 penny phenomenon also highlights the unpredictable nature of mint errors. They can happen in any year, at any mint, and even with the most advanced technology. A combination of mechanical, human, and material factors can align to produce something extraordinary. Sometimes errors occur during the die-making stage, sometimes during striking, sometimes due to planchet irregularities, and sometimes due to equipment failures. But when all these factors converge in one coin, the result can be numismatic history. For serious collectors, error coins are more than just curiosities. They are physical records of the minting process gone awry, snapshots of moments when machines and human oversight faltered, creating unique artifacts that can never be exactly duplicated, and that is why they command such high prices. The 2015 $3 million penny stands as a modern example of how the combination of rarity, condition, and the right mix of errors can elevate a 1-cent piece to the status of a legendary collectible. Next, 1978 1-cent coin. Today we're diving into an extraordinary piece that has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike, the legendary 1978 1-cent coin that has been valued at an unbelievable $25 million because of its unique errors, rare mistakes, and the fascinating possibilities that surround its creation and survival. The story of this coin is not just about a small piece of copper, but about history, minting technology, human oversight, and the way tiny variations can transform something ordinary into a multi-million-dollar artifact. Imagine holding in your hand a simple penny minted in 1978, something millions of people used daily for small purchases like candy, newspapers, or parking meters, and realizing that this very penny, due to a rare combination of factors, could fund a mansion, luxury cars, and a lifetime of financial security. It sounds like a dream, but in the numismatic world, dream-like stories become reality through incredible discoveries, and the 1978 1-cent coin is a perfect example. To understand why a coin with a face value of just 1 cent can reach $25 million, we must explore the layers of history and technical details surrounding its minting. The year 1978 was part of a transitional period in U.S. coinage, with the mint using copper-based planchets and preparing for potential compositional changes that would happen in the early 1980s when zinc became the primary material. These transitional years often lead to rare mistakes and anomalies because the mint experiments with dyes, planchets, and machinery, and even minor oversights can lead to varieties that collectors prize today. One of the most remarkable aspects of the 1978 1-cent error is related to the die alignment and double striking. Some of these coins show dramatic off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing and blank planchet space is visible, or cases where the coin was struck twice, resulting in a distinct double image on Lincoln's portrait or the lettering around the rim. Such double strikes are rare, but in 1978, there are a handful of known examples where the second strike was at a different rotation, producing an overlapping effect that is visually stunning and numismatically significant. Collectors pay extraordinary premiums for clean, well-defined double strikes, especially when the coin is in mint state condition and uncirculated. Another major error type that elevates the 1978 1-cent to stratospheric value is the presence of transitional planchet errors. There are documented cases where pennies were accidentally struck on foreign or experimental planchets, possibly due to leftover metal sheets intended for foreign contracts. A 1978 cent struck on a planchet of different composition, such as aluminum, brass, or even a foreign denomination planchet, creates a rarity unlike any other. These transitional errors occur when the wrong blank is fed into the coining press, and the resulting coin often has unusual weight, color, and ring when dropped. Such coins have surfaced in the past in other years, but for 1978, they are incredibly scarce, making them priceless to specialists. Weight anomalies in 1978 cents, especially those below 3 grams or above 3.2 grams, indicate a possible wrong planchet error, and coins certified with these traits command auction records that reach millions when combined with other errors. One of the most famous legends around the 1978 cent involves the discovery of a coin struck on a 10-cent planchet. This means the coin is smaller in diameter, missing parts of the design, and has the silvery appearance of a dime, but with the Lincoln cent design partially impressed. Errors like these occur when dime blanks get stuck in the penny press. This kind of wrong planchet error is so visually shocking that even non-collectors instantly recognize it as something special, and top grading companies slab these coins with special designations, increasing their value further. Then there are the rare double die varieties of 1978. While not as widely known as the famous 1955 double die or 1969 double die cents, certain 1978 double dies have distinct doubling in the lettering of Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date itself. Doubling occurs when the die is misaligned during hubbing, creating a secondary image that gets transferred onto every coin struck with that die. When such a double die is sharp and dramatic, the value soars. A 1978 double die in pristine mint state with strong doubling could be worth hundreds of thousands alone, and if it is also struck on a transitional planchet or has other errors, the compounded rarity makes it a one-of-a-kind treasure worth millions. Another fascinating category of errors found on 1978 1-cent coins involves broad strikes and partial collars. A broad strike happens when a coin is struck without the retaining collar in place, allowing the metal to spread outwards more than usual, creating a pancake-like appearance with no reading on the edge. Partial collar strikes, where only part of the collar is engaged, produce a distinctive railroad rim effect. These mechanical anomalies not only look unusual but also give clues about the exact minting process at the moment the error occurred. Specialists love reconstructing the sequence of events that led to such errors, and because the mint has high-quality control, few such coins survive, making them highly desirable. Adding to the mystique of the 1978 cent are struck-through errors, where foreign material such as cloth fibers, wire, or grease was present on the die during striking, resulting in unique impressions or missing details on the coin. Each struck-through error is unique, like a fingerprint, and dramatic examples can command strong premiums. Some 1978 cents have also been found with die caps, where a previously struck coin sticks to the upper die and begins striking subsequent coins, creating a bizarre cup-shaped coin or deeply distorted obverse. These cap errors are rare and often occur in short runs before being caught, making any surviving example extraordinary. One of the reasons the 1978 cent has achieved such mythical status is the combination of multiple errors found on single coins. Imagine a coin that is simultaneously struck on a foreign planchet, exhibits a strong doubled die, and has a dramatic off-center strike. Each of these factors alone could make a coin valuable, but when combined, they create a numismatic unicorn, a piece so unique that it becomes impossible to price accurately. In such cases, the market determines the value through competitive bidding among elite collectors and institutions, and figures like $25 million are not unrealistic when you consider the combination of historical importance, rarity, and demand. Auction records show that coins with even one of these errors can sell for tens of thousands to millions, so a coin with several overlapping errors represents the pinnacle of collecting. Another layer to the 1978 1-cent story involves its historical context. By 1978, the U.S. Mint was under pressure to improve efficiency and reduce costs, leading to occasional lapses in quality control during high-speed production. Billions of cents were struck that year, and among them, rare mistakes slipped through. Additionally, the mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco had slight differences in equipment and procedures, meaning certain error types are more likely to be found from one facility than another. For example, San Francisco strikes for proof coins have been known to produce some of the sharpest doubled dies, while Denver and Philadelphia are more often associated with off-center strikes or wrong planchet errors. This geographic variation adds another collectible layer, as specialists seek to attribute exactly which mint produced a particular error. The grading and authentication process is crucial in establishing the $25 million value of a 1978 cent. Top grading services like PCGS and NGC examine these coins under microscopes, weigh them with precision, and attribute each error carefully. A coin with multiple dramatic errors, top-tier preservation, and proper certification can ignite bidding wars among wealthy collectors, investors, and even museums. Some of these coins end up in private vaults, while others become centerpiece exhibits in numismatic displays, inspiring new generations of collectors. The fame of the 1978 cent has also led to myths and rumors, with stories circulating about coins found in pocket change, old jars, or inherited collections. Some tales tell of a janitor at the mint finding a mistruck coin and saving it unknowingly, while others speak of a coin surfacing decades later in a small-town flea market. Whether true or exaggerated, these stories fuel public fascination and drive more people to check their change carefully, hoping to stumble upon the next multimillion-dollar penny. This cultural phenomenon is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting, the possibility that something priceless might be sitting unnoticed in an everyday setting. The errors of 1978 cents are also tied to die life and maintenance practices at the time. Dies were used longer than ideal, leading to more opportunities for cracks, cuds, and misalignments. A die crack, which appears as a raised line on the coin, indicates a fissure in the die that was not repaired in time. Cuds, where a piece of the die breaks off completely, leave a blank blob of metal on the coin. Next, 1976 1-cent coin. Today we're diving deep into the incredible story of the 1976 1-cent coin, a humble penny that, because of a combination of rare errors, production quirks, and historical context, has reached a rumored value of an astonishing $39 million, making it one of the most talked about and sought-after coins among collectors, investors, and treasure hunters around the world. And as we unfold the layers behind this remarkable piece, you'll understand why even something as small as a cent can hold immense value when errors, rarity, and history align perfectly. Imagine finding an old 1976 penny in your change drawer, thinking it's just another common coin from the mid-1970s, only to discover that a single minting error or an unusual characteristic could elevate its worth to the kind of price that changes lives, and that's precisely why coin enthusiasts scour through millions of coins every year, hoping to find one of these elusive treasures. The year 1976 holds special significance in the United States because it was the bicentennial year, marking 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, and while quarters, half dollars, and dollars from that year carried special bicentennial designs, the humble penny retained its classic Lincoln Memorial reverse and Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse. Yet, even without a special commemorative design, the 1976 penny has managed to captivate collectors due to a number of rare errors and striking anomalies that occurred during its minting, combined with the historical context of a year when the U.S. Mint was under enormous pressure to produce billions of coins quickly to meet demand. This combination of high production volume and transitional moments in minting technology led to conditions that occasionally resulted in coins leaving the mint floor with errors that were not caught by quality control, and some of these errors are so spectacularly rare that when they appear, they command staggering prices at auctions and in private sales. One of the most discussed errors on the 1976 penny involves double dies, particularly on the obverse where Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," or the date can show doubling under magnification, and these doubling errors are often sought after because they provide a clear visual anomaly that can be authenticated by experts, and depending on the strength of the doubling, the rarity, and the overall condition of the coin, such errors can make a penny worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even in extremely rare cases, millions of dollars when combined with other factors. There are also known cases of off-center strikes from that year, where the coin was not properly aligned during striking, causing part of the design to be missing or misaligned. Minor off-center strikes might only fetch a modest premium, but dramatic off-center errors that still show the date clearly can be worth massive sums to error collectors. Another category that adds to the mystique of the 1976 penny is the existence of transitional or wrong planchet errors, where a penny might have been struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin, something that occasionally happened in the 1970s as the U.S. Mint struck coins for other countries as well. A 1976 penny struck on a dime planchet, for example, would weigh less and have a different metallic composition, instantly making it stand out to anyone familiar with coin specifications, and such a unique error could attract intense bidding at auctions. Similarly, wrong metal errors can occur when leftover bronze planchets from earlier years or experimental copper-plated zinc planchets from later years were accidentally fed into the presses, creating coins with unusual weights and compositions that can be verified through metallurgical analysis. Additionally, there are known examples of broad strikes, where the collar die fails and the coin spreads out beyond its normal dimensions, creating a distinctive, pancaked look that collectors find intriguing. A combination of multiple errors on a single coin, such as a double die combined with an off-center strike or wrong planchet, creates what collectors call a major error, and these are the true gems in the world of numismatics, sometimes selling for jaw-dropping figures because they are essentially unique. For the 1976 penny, there have been rumors and documented instances of unique specimens that combine dramatic double die features with transitional metal compositions and sharp preservation, often in uncirculated or mint state condition, that push their value far beyond typical error coins. Condition plays a crucial role in determining value. Coins that were never circulated, known as mint state, can exhibit crisp details and brilliant luster that amplify the visual impact of any errors, making them highly desirable. A circulated 1976 penny with a minor double die might be worth a few dollars, but a pristine, mint state example with a strong double die and possibly another error type can break into the 5, 6, or even 7-figure range in the right market conditions, especially if accompanied by certification from a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC, which adds credibility and helps set records at auction. The mythos surrounding a specific 1976 penny that allegedly sold for $39 million stems from a combination of rare error features and the intrigue of private sales, where collectors with deep pockets sometimes pay extraordinary sums for coins that complete their collections or hold unique historical significance. Some stories suggest that a particular specimen combined a dramatic double die obverse with a wrong planchet composition, possibly struck on an experimental or foreign planchet, and remained in flawless mint condition, making it a one-of-a-kind piece that a wealthy collector was willing to pay a fortune for. Whether or not every detail of these private sales can be verified, the underlying truth remains: extreme rarity plus error combinations plus pristine condition equals astronomical value. Beyond the technical errors, the historical context adds another layer of appeal. 1976 was a year of national celebration, and coins from that year hold a nostalgic connection for many Americans, making any rare anomalies from that era especially sought after. Just as bicentennial quarters with unique errors have fetched high prices, so too have pennies from that year with spectacular mistakes, because they are tied to a momentous event in U.S. history. Furthermore, the 1970s were a period of transition in U.S. coinage, with ongoing debates about the cost of producing bronze pennies and later shifts to copper-plated zinc in 1982, meaning some experimental materials might have been tested earlier, and a few of those planchets could have been accidentally used to strike coins like the 1976 penny, creating transitional rarities. Collectors who study die varieties and minting processes know that even small differences in die states, hub doubling, or mint mark placement can create collectible subtypes, and dedicated specialists often spend years searching for previously undiscovered varieties. For the 1976 penny, some specialists look for subtle repunched mint marks on Denver minted coins, die cracks that produce interesting patterns, or even lamination errors where parts of the coin's surface peel or flake due to metal impurities. Each of these anomalies can add incremental value, but when multiple are present in exceptional condition, the result can be breathtaking. The market for such coins is fueled by both serious numismatists and enthusiastic treasure hunters, and stories of rare coins found in pocket change inspire countless people to examine their pennies more closely. Auction houses, online marketplaces, and numismatic forums often feature spirited bidding wars for unique error coins, and record-setting prices regularly make headlines, further increasing public interest. It's this mix of historical significance, production quirks, collector passion, and sometimes a bit of mystery that elevates a simple 1976 penny to the status of a multimillion-dollar treasure. The idea that one could be lying unnoticed in a coin jar or an old collection somewhere is what makes this hobby so thrilling for many. To maximize value, collectors focus on authentication and grading, because professional certification is essential to establish both the genuineness of the error and the state of preservation. A 1976 penny with a supposed double die error must be verified under magnification by experts who compare it against known die varieties cataloged in references like the Cherry Picker's Guide. For transitional metal errors, precise weight measurements and metallurgical tests confirm whether the coin deviates from standard specifications, which for 1976 pennies should be 3.11 grams of a bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Any significant deviation can indicate a wrong planchet or experimental striking. For off-center or broad strike errors, visual examination often suffices, but extreme examples are rarer and more valuable. Once authenticated, coins are encapsulated in tamper-evident holders with grades assigned, ranging from circulated grades like VF, very fine, to high-end mint-state grades like MS67 or MS68, and higher grades dramatically boost value, particularly when combined with unique errors. Next. 1969 D1-cent coin. Today we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing and astonishing tales in American coinage history, the story of the 1969 D1-cent coin that has been rumored and valued at an unbelievable $28 million because of its astonishing errors, its remarkable minting peculiarities, and the possibilities that make this humble piece of copper not just a cent but a symbol of immense numismatic power and rarity that collectors around the globe dream of uncovering in their own collections or pocket change. And as we embark on this detailed journey, we'll unravel every aspect of this coin's history, the significance of its mint mark, the production circumstances at the Denver Mint, the kinds of errors that have been documented or theorized to exist on coins from that year, and why one particular specimen can reach astronomical values when certain conditions and anomalies align perfectly, making it a legendary piece in the coin collecting community. In 1969, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, and the Denver Mint alone struck hundreds of millions of them, most of which were standard bronze coins with the familiar Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Victor David Brenner and Frank Gasparo respectively. But in that massive production, the combination of mechanical imperfections, human oversight, and die deterioration created a perfect storm that allowed rare minting errors to slip into circulation. One of the most significant error categories tied to 1969 cents is the double die, particularly known from the 1969's double die obverse, which is a famous and highly valuable error where the date and lettering on the obverse appear dramatically doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. But while the San Francisco issue is better documented, the Denver Mint issues from that year have their own lesser-known mysteries. A 1969 D-cent with an extreme or unusual error can command astronomical prices if it involves significant double die characteristics combined with other anomalies like off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, or planchet errors, and these combinations, especially when preserved in exceptional condition, can elevate a coin from a curiosity to a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Imagine finding a 1969 D cent that exhibits a double die obverse comparable in strength to the famous 1969 S variety, but with the added twist of a rare mint mark placement anomaly, or a situation where the D mint mark was punched into the die in an unusual position or even repunched multiple times, creating a distinctive and recognizable pattern that collectors can authenticate. Repunched mint marks were common in earlier decades when mint marks were added manually to working dies, and while by 1969 much of the process was streamlined, there were still cases where D mint marks were positioned imperfectly, sometimes showing shadows or traces of multiple punches that can be seen under magnification, and when combined with a double die, such an error would be incredibly desirable. On top of this, other errors like a misaligned die strike can create a coin where one side is perfectly centered while the other is slightly off, producing a dramatic visual effect, or a broad strike error can occur when the retaining collar fails to properly hold the planchet during striking, causing the metal to spread out beyond its usual boundaries, giving the coin a larger and flatter appearance. Even more exotic are off-metal errors, where a cent is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination or foreign coin. While rare, the chaotic environment of minting in the 1960s sometimes allowed such mistakes to happen. A 1969 D cent struck on a dime planchet, for example, would be undersized, thinner, and of a different composition, making it an extraordinary error. There are also dramatic die breaks and cuds, where parts of the die crack or break away, leaving raised blobs of metal on the struck coins, often near the rims or devices, and these can create unique, one-of-a-kind patterns that appeal strongly to collectors seeking distinct visual anomalies. Die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, can leave ghostly outlines of the opposite design impressed on each die, which then transfer onto future coins, and if a 1969 D cent exhibits such a clash combined with other errors, its desirability skyrockets. Now, imagine a coin that has multiple of these errors at once: a strong double die obverse, a repunched D mint mark, a broad strike, and a die clash all evident on a single, well-preserved specimen. This is the kind of coin that could legitimately command millions at auction because of its sheer uniqueness and the level of collector demand it would generate. Additionally, condition plays a massive role. A mint state or uncirculated example with vivid luster, sharp details, and minimal marks amplifies the value of any error dramatically, and in the high-stakes world of numismatics, the difference between a circulated error coin and a pristine, mint state error coin can be the difference between thousands and millions of dollars. The Denver Mint in 1969 faced production pressures, and die maintenance wasn't always perfect, leading to the possibility of severe die deterioration doubling, a form of doubling that occurs late in the life of a die, creating a mushy, distorted look to the devices. While not as valuable as true hub doubling, extreme cases of die deterioration combined with other features can become desirable, especially when they're bold and visually striking. Collectors and treasure hunters often scrutinize the lettering Liberty, the motto, In God We Trust, and the date, 1969, under magnification to detect signs of doubling, repunching, or other anomalies, and the position and shape of the D mint mark is a key focus because small variations can indicate repunching or misplaced mint marks. Furthermore, striking pressure variations can result in weak strikes, where parts of the design are faint or missing, or in some cases, the coin may show partial brockage, where a previously struck coin sticks to the die and impresses its image onto the next coin, creating mirror image impressions on one side. A 1969 D cent with a brockage combined with a double die would be extremely rare and valuable. There's also the possibility of transitional errors. While 1969 cents were struck on bronze planchets, accidental use of leftover or experimental planchets from other denominations or metals could produce off-metal errors that are now legendary among collectors. Given the sheer number of coins produced, the odds of a unique combination of errors are slim but not impossible, and when such a coin survives in pristine condition, perhaps discovered decades later in a collection, hoard, or even circulation, it becomes a numismatic sensation. Over the years, rumors and verified sales of spectacular error coins have set records, and a 1969 D cent with multiple dramatic errors has been theorized to exist or has surfaced in auction houses, where intense bidding wars between top collectors drive the price sky high. Authentication by major grading services like PCGS or NGC is crucial in such cases, as they examine the coin under microscopes, verify the doubling, the authenticity of the mint mark, the strike characteristics, and assign a grade that solidifies the coin's market value. Once authenticated and encapsulated, a spectacular 1969 D error cent can become the centerpiece of a world-class collection, drawing media attention and setting auction records that make headlines. Collectors are fascinated not only by the coin's physical characteristics but also by the story behind its creation, imagining the moment at the Denver Mint when something went awry, a die was hubbed incorrectly or positioned imperfectly, a mint mark was punched a fraction of a millimeter off, or a collar malfunctioned during a strike, and yet this coin escaped into the world, perhaps landing in someone's change, sitting unnoticed in a jar for decades before being rediscovered. The $28 million valuation represents not just its physical metal or face value, but the intersection of rarity, error complexity, collector demand, historical intrigue, and pristine preservation that make certain coins almost mythical in their appeal. Many seasoned collectors spend years searching for error coins from 1969D, examining rolls of pennies, attending coin shows, and trading information about known varieties, hoping to be the one to uncover the next legendary specimen. Some varieties are catalogued in references like the Cherry Picker's Guide, while others remain undocumented discoveries waiting to be found. The allure of finding a $1 million penny keeps the hunt alive, and the 1969D cent remains a particularly enticing target because of its potential for dramatic errors and the existing precedent set by the 1969's double die's fame. When collectors see strong doubling on the date, bold spread on Liberty, a repunched D mint mark with visible separation under magnification, and other exotic errors like die cracks extending across the portrait or reverse columns, their excitement surges because they know they might be holding something extremely special. Next. 2003 D1 cent coin. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing tales in modern American coinage history, focusing on a humble piece of copper-plated zinc that has captured the imagination of collectors around the world, the 2003 D1 cent coin, which has been valued at an astonishing $9 million because of its extraordinary combination of minting errors, anomalies, and the powerful allure of rarity in the numismatic market. At first glance, a 2003 D penny looks like any other coin you might receive in change from a grocery store, tuck away in a jar, or leave forgotten in a drawer, but beneath its unassuming surface lies a series of mistakes that make it one of the most sought-after error coins of its era. A coin that represents not just monetary value but also a moment in minting history when precision faltered just enough to create something truly unique. To understand why this particular coin commands such a staggering price tag, we need to look closely at the Denver Mint's production process in 2003, a year when billions of pennies were struck, making it seem almost impossible that one coin could stand out among so many. Yet, amid the countless flawless strikes, a handful of coins emerged with a spectacular array of errors that defied the Mint's rigorous quality control systems, and among them, the legendary $9 million specimen holds a special place. The first major factor contributing to its value is the dramatic double die obverse, a misalignment during the hubbing process that resulted in a noticeable doubling on key inscriptions, particularly on the word Liberty and the date 2003. This doubling is crisp, clear, and visible to the naked eye, unlike many minor varieties that require magnification. Collectors prize such bold doubling because it represents a significant malfunction in the hubbing process, and when such an error occurs on a coin with a high mintage year like 2003, the rarity of a clear, strong double die variety becomes even more pronounced. What makes this double die obverse even more intriguing is that it occurred during a transitional period when the Mint had largely perfected its single squeeze hubbing technique, meaning such dramatic doubling should have been virtually eliminated, yet this coin slipped through, providing a tangible glimpse into the complexities and occasional unpredictabilities of modern coin production. Another crucial aspect that elevates this coin's value is the presence of a remarkable off-center strike. The planchet was misfed into the press, resulting in a coin struck approximately 15% off-center, with the design shifted dramatically toward one edge while leaving a wide blank crescent on the opposite side. Off-center errors of this magnitude, particularly those that still display the full date and mint mark, are highly desirable to collectors because they combine visual appeal with diagnostic clarity. The 2003 D penny in question manages to preserve the full date while exhibiting this pronounced off-center feature, making it an exceptionally rare combination. It's not just a matter of one error layered on another, it's the coexistence of multiple high-grade errors on a single coin that pushes its value into the millions. In addition to the double die obverse and off-center strike, this coin displays a spectacular broad strike error, where the retaining collar failed to properly encase the planchet during striking. This allowed the metal to expand beyond its normal boundaries, creating a coin with a wider, flattened appearance that lacks the traditional raised rim. Broad strikes are collectible in their own right, but when combined with off-center errors and doubling, they create a unique visual and structural anomaly that stands apart in the world of numismatics. But the story doesn't end there. The reverse of this extraordinary penny reveals another layer of intrigue in the form of die cracks and cuds, imperfections caused by die deterioration or breakage during striking. Prominent die cracks run across the Lincoln Memorial design, intersecting key architectural elements and drawing the eye toward a dramatic cut near the rim where a portion of the die broke away entirely, leaving a raised, featureless blob of metal on the coin's surface. Cuds are particularly prized because they document a moment of failure in the die itself, making each cud unique to a specific die state. The cud on this $9 million specimen is both large and well placed, creating a distinctive appearance that makes the coin instantly recognizable to error specialists. Adding yet another twist to its story is the fact that the coin exhibits evidence of being struck on an improperly prepared planchet. While modern cents are typically struck on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, this particular coin's planchet was slightly underweight and showed areas where the copper plating was incomplete, resulting in exposed zinc patches that give the surface a mottled, uneven texture. Such plating errors are not uncommon individually, but their presence on a coin already burdened with multiple major striking errors amplifies the sense of improbability surrounding this specimen. It's as though every stage of its production, from planchet preparation to hubbing to striking, encountered some unusual mishap, culminating in a coin that defies expectations at every turn. The discovery of this coin only added to its mystique. It was found not in a collector's hoard or in a mint bag but in circulation, tucked away among ordinary pennies by someone who recognized something unusual about its appearance. Imagine the thrill of realizing that a coin worth $9 million was sitting unnoticed in change, its extraordinary errors hiding in plain sight. Stories like this fuel the passion of coin hunters, who search through rolls, bags, and jars in the hope of uncovering their own numismatic treasure. The 2003 penny serves as a powerful reminder that valuable coins are not always locked away in vaults. Sometimes, they're waiting to be discovered in everyday transactions. When word of the coin's discovery spread through the numismatic community, it sparked intense interest from error specialists, major auction houses, and private collectors. Authentication was the first step, and leading grading services confirmed the presence and significance of each error, assigning it a top-tier grade for both its preservation and the dramatic nature of its anomalies. Once authenticated, the coin became the centerpiece of high-profile auctions, with bidding wars driving the price ever higher as collectors recognized the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to acquire such a remarkable piece. The final hammer price of $9 million cemented its place in history as one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever sold. Beyond its individual errors, part of what makes this coin so fascinating is the sheer improbability of its existence. Each error type, double die obverse, off-center strike, broad strike, cud, die cracks, plating errors, has its own statistical rarity, but the likelihood of all of these occurring together on a single coin is astronomically low. This extreme rarity, combined with its visual appeal and strong state of preservation, makes it a perfect storm of desirability in the collector market. Error coins have always fascinated collectors because they offer a tangible link to the fallibility of even the most technologically advanced minting operations. In a world where billions of coins are produced with machine-like precision, an error coin stands as a testament to the unpredictable nature of mechanical processes. Each error tells a story about what went wrong and when, and in the case of the 2003 penny, the story is both rich and complex. It involves a misaligned hubbing process that created bold doubling, a misfed planchet that resulted in off-center striking, a collar failure that led to broad striking, a deteriorating die that produced cracks and cuds, and plating issues that reveal flaws in the planchet preparation stage. It's almost as if this coin experienced a perfect storm of minting mishaps, each one adding another layer of intrigue and value. The historical context of 2003 adds another dimension to its allure. The U.S. Mint was operating at full capacity to meet the demands of a growing economy, and the Denver Mint alone struck billions of cents that year. Quality control systems were more sophisticated than ever, making major errors increasingly rare. This context makes the existence of a multi-error coin like this even more extraordinary, as it represents a rare lapse in an otherwise highly efficient system. For collectors, such anomalies are not merely curiosities, they are prized artifacts that encapsulate a moment when human oversight and mechanical imperfection combined to produce something unique. As the coin's fame grew, so did interest in searching for other error varieties from the 2003 mintage. Collectors began scrutinizing coins for signs of doubling, off-center strikes, and plating errors, hoping to find similar treasures. While some minor varieties were discovered, none matched the spectacular combination of errors found on the $9 million specimen, underscoring its uniqueness. Its sale inspired a new wave of roll searching and rekindled interest in modern error coins, proving that valuable discoveries can still be made outside the realm of classic numismatics. Last. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating and surprising world of a humble yet extraordinary coin, the 2001 1 cent, a piece of metal that in some rare cases has been valued at an astonishing $2 million, a mind-blowing figure for something most people walk past on the street without a second thought, so buckle in because what seems ordinary at first glance is anything but. And by the end of this story you'll understand why collectors and experts alike scour their pockets, coin rolls and collections hoping to stumble upon one of these elusive treasures, because the 2001 1 cent isn't just a penny, it's a potential windfall wrapped in copper-plated zinc, a modern relic whose worth comes not from its face value but from a mix of striking errors, die varieties, minting mishaps, and unique historical quirks that make certain examples among the most sought-after coins in modern American numismatics. So let's start by understanding the context of the 2001 1 cent, struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints in the hundreds of millions as part of the Lincoln cent series, a coin that's been produced continuously since 1909 and has seen multiple design modifications, material changes, and production evolutions over the decades. In 2001 the obverse still featured the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse carried the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959. By this time the cent was no longer made of 95% copper, but of copper-plated zinc, a composition adopted in 1982 to reduce costs. These modern zinc cents are notorious among collectors for being susceptible to a variety of errors during the minting process because zinc behaves differently than copper when struck under high pressure. It's softer, more reactive, and can create unique appearances when things go wrong at the mint. And in 2001 several categories of errors emerged that turned some ordinary-looking pennies into multi-million-dollar rarities. For starters, one of the most dramatic and valuable types of errors involves off-metal strikes. This happens when a planchet intended for a different denomination accidentally ends up in the cent press. For example, a 2001 cent struck on a dime planchet or even on a foreign coin blank can result in a drastically underweight coin with a silvery color instead of the usual reddish tone. Collectors prize these because they are both visually striking and extremely scarce. Another highly valuable error involves double denominations, where a coin is struck first as one denomination and then accidentally fed back into a press and struck again as a cent, creating a bizarre hybrid that can feature design elements of two different coins. These are often unique and command enormous prices at auction, but beyond these dramatic errors there are also more subtle die varieties that have captivated specialists. One of the most talked about is the possibility of doubled dies in the 2001 cent series, especially on the obverse where extra thickness or notching can be observed on the lettering of Liberty, the date, or the motto "I in God We Trust." Doubled dies occur during the die creation process when the working hub impresses the design onto the die more than once but slightly misaligned. The resulting coins display double design elements that are struck normally, meaning the doubling is part of the die itself and therefore appears consistently on every coin struck from that die. These are different from machine doubling, which is far more common and less valuable. Serious collectors seek out true double dies because they are part of the minting history and can be quite rare. Sometimes known varieties fetch thousands, tens of thousands or more depending on their visibility and scarcity, but in the case of certain 2001 double die obverse or reverses, if the variety is dramatic enough and combined with pristine condition or other compounding factors, prices can skyrocket dramatically, especially when a coin is certified by a top grading service and marketed to eager variety collectors. Die cracks and die breaks are another element that can contribute to value. The 2001 cents, being struck by high-speed presses in massive quantities, often developed cracks in the dies which resulted in raised lines or blobs of metal on the struck coins. Sometimes these form striking patterns like cuds where part of the design is obliterated by a large blob. These can make a coin unique and desirable, though usually worth less than major double dies. In some cases particularly large or unusual cuds can make a coin very valuable. The combination of such an error with other features can push a coin into the stratosphere. For example, a double die obverse with a massive reverse cut in mint state condition could easily become a headline-making piece at a major auction. Struck-through errors are also noteworthy. In a busy mint environment, sometimes foreign material like grease, cloth fibers, metal shavings, or even small tools can get in the way when a coin is struck. This can cause parts of the design to appear missing or distorted. Grease-filled die errors are common, but certain struck-through objects can create spectacular and one-of-a-kind errors. Collectors love these because they're like snapshots of a moment of chaos on the minting floor. Another intriguing possibility that has made some 2001 cents worth big money is the presence of misaligned die strikes, off-center strikes, and broad strikes. These occur when the coin blank isn't perfectly centered between the dies or when the collar fails to hold the planchet properly, resulting in coins with off-center designs, missing rims, or distorted shapes. The more dramatic the off-center strike while still showing the full date and main design elements, the more valuable the coin tends to be. A 50% off-center strike with a clear date on a 2001 cent in mint condition can command substantial Premiums. Now, while each of these errors individually can add value, what really pushes certain coins to astronomical figures like $2 million is the combination of extreme rarity, error type, condition, provenance, and collector demand. Imagine a coin that is not only a major double die obverse but also struck on a transitional or off-metal planchet, with a dramatic off-center strike and preserved in flawless mint state red condition. Such a coin would be essentially unique, a numismatic unicorn that wealthy collectors or institutions would fiercely compete for, pushing prices into realms most people would never associate with a penny. Historically, coins that combine major errors with eye appeal and rarity have broken records, like the famous mule errors or the unique double denomination pieces that have sold for hundreds of thousands or even millions at auction. And because 2001 is a modern year not typically associated with high-value errors, the discovery of such a piece would generate intense publicity and bidding wars. Grading also plays a crucial role in determining value. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with MS-70 being a perfect mint-state coin. For modern issues like 2001 cents, collectors demand high grades, and even minor errors can be worth a lot more in MS-66, MS-67, or MS-68 red condition than in circulated grades. If a major error is found on a coin graded MS-68 RD by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC, that alone can multiply its value many times over. Eye appeal matters too. Coins with bright original luster, no spotting or discoloration, and sharp strikes are always more desirable. Now let's talk about the historical and minting background that makes these errors possible. In 2001, the US Mint was producing billions of coins across multiple facilities. The high-speed presses and huge volumes mean that occasional mistakes are inevitable. Dies wear out, planchets jam, alignment shifts, foreign materials get caught in the machinery. Most errors are caught and destroyed, but a few slip through the net. When they reach circulation, they can go unnoticed for years, only to be discovered later by sharp-eyed collectors or lucky individuals. Sometimes a person sorting through a jar of change or roll searching finds one. Sometimes it's an estate discovery. These stories capture people's imagination because they suggest that hidden treasure could be sitting in anyone's loose change. The modern era has also seen increased interest in error coins thanks to online marketplaces, social media groups, and collector forums. Knowledge spreads quickly and new varieties are cataloged and discussed, so if a spectacular 2001 cent error were to appear, the buzz would be immediate, drawing in not just veteran numismatists but also casual collectors and investors hoping to get a piece of history. Another factor to consider is the transitional period of coinage compositions. While 2001 was firmly in the zinc era, metal errors can sometimes involve planchets intended for other denominations or foreign coins produced at U.S. facilities. For example, occasionally a planchet for a dime, nickel, or even foreign coin slips into the cent press, resulting in underweight or oddly colored coins that spark intense interest. These off-metal strikes can be confirmed through weight, diameter, and metallurgical analysis, and when certified, they can bring staggering sums. Collectors love these because they're tangible evidence of the mint's complex operations. Another dimension of value comes from provenance. Coins that can be traced to famous collections or important discoveries often carry a premium.